Good morning, children. Student, today we will discuss about the another element of chapter number 7, directing, and that will be communication. Student, in chapter number 7, directing, as we have already discussed about that directing is a process which include the four basic element, and that was motivation, communication, leadership, and supervision. We already have discussed about the two element, and today we'll be going through with the fourth element of communications. Basically, student, communication is what? Communication basically means communicating, exchanging the information, transferring the information from one to another. Now, one of the very famous president of America has told that if we talk about manager job or manager role into the organization, we can understand the importance of communication. He said that what a manager did in an organization, that is 90% of the work of a manager is to communicate. It means 90% work what a manager is doing is he is just communicating. He is communicating with the top level people, he is communicating with the middle level, and then to the operational level people also. This communication can be in a form of exchanging ideas, in a form of transferring the information one to another. So that's why we can understand the importance of communication by this, that 90% of the work done by a manager is to communicate. Now, from where we got this communication? So, the word communication has been derived from the Latin word communis. It means we derive the communication word is basically from a Latin language, and it is from a Latin word communis. Communis basically means common. We can understand common means common understanding. Now, what basically common understanding here is? So, for this we have to define communication first. So, generally communication is basically a process of exchanging of ideas, views, facts, feeling, etc. It means communication क्या है? Communication एक process है by the help of which we can able to exchange or transfer our ideas, our views, our information, facts, and our feeling to other. So this process is called as communication. Now we have certain definition here in the book. Let's go through with these definition. So you can see the first definition. Communication is the sum of all things one person does when he want to create understanding in the mind of other. It involves systematic and continued process of telling, listening, and understanding. So in this definition, there are certain things which are important. That is, communication is basically what? Communication basically means all those things by which we are able to transfer our ideas, our feelings, and the informations for creating understanding into the mind of other. Now, who is this another person? So this another person is receiver. So this definition said that all those things by which a sender can able to create a common understanding in the mind of a receiver is called as a process of communication. Now when we talk about communication processes continue. Continuous process means that till the organization is going on, till the job of manager is there, he has to go through with the communication process. Now, communication process not only say speaking, it include speaking also, means telling also, instructing also, listening also, and understanding also. Means a manager has to go through with communication process where he has to tell its subordinate what is right and what is wrong, where he has to listen to the ideas or suggestion of a subordinate, and he has to create an understanding between a subordinate and superior. Now we can go through with the second definition, that is communication is a transfer of information from sender to receiver with the information being understood by a receiver. It means communication क्या है? Communication एक process है जहाँ पे हम information को transfer कर रहे हैं. कहाँ से? From sender to receiver. It means sender is the person who is sending the information to the person will be called as receiver, who is going to receive the information. Now this information should be understood by the receiver. If a information which has been transferred by sender towards the receiver is not understood by him, we will say that communication process was failed or not successfully completed. Next is communication is a process by which people create and share information with one another in order to reach common understanding. It means it's a process like by which we are able to share information also, and in which way we will be able to create common understanding also. So two things are important here in all the three definition. One is that it's a process of sharing information, and why we are sharing this information, to create common understanding. और किसकी common understanding create करनी है, we have to create a common understanding between sender and receiver. Now next we will be talking about the element of communication. Now element of communication means what? Element of communication basically means all those things. Element basically means all those sources or all those things which are involved in the process of communications are called as element of communications. So like there are lots of things which involve in the process of communication. वो सारी चीज़ें आपकी कहलाती हैं element of communications. Now we can see it from this diagram. Right, this is a element of communication process. Now this is a communication process, and the different thing which are involved here in this communication process is called as element of communications. Like we can start it, the communication process. See the diagram. The first thing or first element of communication process is sender. Who is sender? Sender is the person who send or who convey his thought or his ideas to the receiver. The sender represents source of communications. It means sender कौन है? Sender वो person है जो अपने thoughts को, अपनी ideas को receiver को convey करता है. और sender is called as a source of communication. Why? Because communication process is always started from sender only. Now once a sender has convey his thoughts or ideas, this is a person sender. Now what is there in his mind? He has certain ideas, he has certain thoughts in his mind which he need to convey to the receiver. So what he will do, that particular thing, that particular content, that particular idea, feeling, suggestion which he want to send to the receiver will be called as message. So you can see from the diagram also, this is message, which is the second element of your communication process. Now once message is clear, it's written, after that what is supposed to be done? Then it's a process of encoding. Encoding में क्या होता है? Encoding is the process of converting that message into a communication symbol such as word, picture and gesture. Now children, sender, the first element, a person who is conveying his message. Message वो content, idea or feeling which we want to communicate, that will be called as message. Encoding, a process by which we will be converting the message into a communication symbol. It means when you want to send the message to receiver, you have to send that message in a communication form. वो कम्युनिकेशन फॉर्म क्या होगी? या तो रिटन होगा या वर्बल होगा, वर्ड होंगे, पिक्चर्स हो सकती हैं, गेस्चर होती हैं. तो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज इनकोडिंग. नाउ मीडिया इज व्हाट? Once encoding of message has been done, media basically means it's a path through which encoding of message is done or message is transmitted to receiver. It means media क्या है? Media is a platform by which we send message of sender to receiver. Like phone, if we are sending certain information to someone by using phone, phone will be called as media. Internet will be called as media. Face to face, when we are sharing information with each other, that will be called as media. So basically media means a platform by which we send message to the receiver. Now decoding is what? Decoding means a process of converting encoded symbol of the sender. It means whatever message a sender has written in a form of written, gestures, pictures or verbal, that has to be converted back in a proper symbol which can be understood by receiver is called as a process of decoding. नेक्स्ट इज रिसीवर. रिसीवर कौन है? रिसीवर इज अ पर्सन हु रिसीव द कम्युनिकेशन ऑफ सेंडर, यानी जिससे एक सेंडर अपने एक मैसेज को कन्वे करता है, उस पर्सन को हम क्या बोलेंगे? रिसीवर. नेक्स्ट फीडबैक. वंस द मैसेज इज रिसीव फ्रॉम द रिसीवर, it become the duty of a receiver that he will take certain action. Now this action will indicate that he received the message. Now that will be called as feedback. यानी मैसेज रिसीव करने के बाद में जो रिसीवर का एक पर्टिकुलर एक्शन होगा टूवर्ड्स द सेंडर, दैट विल बी कॉल्ड एज फीडबैक. Now the center point here is noise. Noise is the another very important element of communication process. Noise basically means whenever we communicate from sender to receiver, sometime there are obstruction or hindrance or some problem occurred at the time of communication, because of which the communication process is not successfully conducted. That obstruction is called as noise. For example, if a sender is communicating by towards a receiver, like, right, and due to the network issue they are not able to share the information correctly, so it means the communication process was failed. So this occurred due to what? Due to network. So here it will be called as a noise, means it's basically obstruction because of which the communication process cannot be done properly. Now there are certain example of noise they have given, that is ambiguous symbol that lead to faulty encoding. It means there are certain symbol which is used by sender for the message which is wrongly encoded by the receiver. A poor telephone connection, suppose two people are talking to each other on phone, they are conveying information and the connection is not good, the network is not good, so what will happen? They will be not able to accurately understand the message. An inattentive receiver, a person who is sending message is sender, and the person who is going to receive the message will be receiver. If the receiver is not attentive, he will be not able to receive message correctly. Faulty decoding, where the message meaning was written wrongly. Obstructing the poor understanding of message, where the receiver has understand the message wrongly. Gestures and postures that may distort the message. Yeah, any pictures, any gestures or any postures of the sender which because of which the message was wrongly understand. So all those things by which the message or the communication process was not completed successfully will be called as noise. That's all. Into the next video we will be talking about the importance of communications and the different type of communications.